Trinity didn't want to tell me that I was on camera. I'm over here scrolling Twitter. Well, hello. Happy Monday. Am I screaming into the mic?
You're good.
Might be screaming a little bit. Welcome to Valley Vision. You guys know we try to go live at 5 on Mondays, but sometimes Monday just Mondays and everything that can go wrong does. But we figure it out. Happy to be here. Lots to recap. Kind of coming down to the end of baseball and softball season, but that's the fun part, right? And, the intro was playing on this computer. So sports... Less LSU sports going on aside from baseball and softball, but never a dull moment when you're an LSU Tiger fan, right? We'll start off with, first, actually, I want to acknowledge the cool LED sign behind me. Shout out to my dad who got me that for Christmas. It only took January, February, March, April, May? 5 months to get it up, but it's up. It won't hang up, but it'll sit on that shelf. So thanks, Dad. It looks really awesome. We'll work on the coloring so that it doesn't look so faded and it's a little cut off, but we'll work on it. Also, there's some pieces of the set missing, and that would be because we had a grand reopening at Cards and Culture this past weekend, and they needed the jerseys to actually sell, and the Tommy White painting that y'all are used to seeing is also in shop to sell. So if they don't sell, they'll be back on set. Otherwise, we'll have to find some new props. But that was really great. Shout out to everybody who stopped by Cards and Culture. We had some athlete appearances. I know Chris Hilton, who we did an interview with, was there. A bunch of the volleyball girls, Jade Demps, Amani Williams from Tiger Girls was there. Who'd I miss? Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss, of course, the Olympians swung by. Sarah Edwards and Shannon Coulon, former LSU cheerleader and gymnast. So we had a crew come by. Super cool. If the stream is jumping, please let me know. I don't know if it's the Wi-Fi or like the Wi-Fi on my computer, or does it look fine on you?
It's fine, but there's some little times where
whatever. All right, let's get rocking. LSU softball. First off, we haven't had a show since they went 14 innings.
Yeah.
14. For those of you who are not big softball fans, that is 2 full games, no break. A normal game is 7 innings. They went 14 and walked it off. They beat number 1 Tennessee to advance to semis, I believe it was, and then they fell to Missouri. But what a performance. Sydney Berzon went 200, plus 200 pitches, and I think 190-something strikes. And I think in an interview she did, they asked her, was there any discussion on pulling you? And she was like, no. Not at all. She just pitched 2 back-to-back games. No problem. Had killer stats. And now they head to the postseason.
Back-to-back games with Tennessee, though.
Let me not overlook that. Number 1 Tennessee, who they walked off playing 2 full games back-to-back.
Yeah.
Incredible. That is so difficult to do. So really shows how much grit this team has. And we've been hearing it all season from Beth Torina and some of the seniors. It could be their year for sure. So they will make their 25th NCAA tournament appearance, and they will host in Baton Rouge. They'll host a regional, I think, starting Friday. Today's the 13th?
Yes, Friday.
Yep, Friday.
Allie's literally going to be walking across the stage at 11:30 and then playing later in the afternoon.
That's awesome. I love it. Graduate and host a regional on the same day. They are the number 9 overall seed. I believe they play Bama. Am I tripping?
No.
Why do I think that? I think I read that last week, but things may have changed. They had their selection. You know how they do the shows. They were all in the facility. When they announced they are the number 9 overall seed, they'll host, as well as 2 other Louisiana schools. I think that's the first time in history that 3 Louisiana colleges are hosting a regional for softball, which is super cool. But they will host for the 8th time over the past 9 years. They obviously didn't in 2020. That was the COVID year. But 8 in the past 9 years and 13 overall.
So, I'm sorry. They're hosting Southern Illinois, Cal, and SWAC champions Jackson State.
Yep.
We'll play Jackson State at 5 p.m. on Friday. So it will be the second game.
Yes, because the first game is at 2:30, but not LSU doesn't play in that first game.
No, we play.
You guys know how regional works. It's like a round robin kind of thing. Just because they're hosting doesn't mean they play every game. So they will kick it off at 5:30 against Jackson State. I believe. So super excited for that. Again, it feels like their year. Oklahoma City is calling their name. They've got Corinna's in the chat. Yeah, look, I knew you were going to be here, girl. The way that you tap into Beyond the Box and try to get us to talk softball on the baseball show. I love it that you're here. So yes, Sydney had 208 pitches in that game, and she did go into the next one in relief, which, how does your body hold up? How does your body as a pitcher hold up? Pitching 2 back-to-back games, essentially, and then coming in relief the next game. But, hey, built different.
Yeah.
Ooby-doo, looking at the chat here. I'm digging the teams in the regional. I feel confident that we can get out of it and on to the next round. This team has a lot of fight in them. Yes, we do have a good regional. Sometimes you see teams get put in a gauntlet. This is not the case. This is a really good situation for LSU softball. They do tend to... We've seen some heartbreakers when they host regionals, but I don't feel that for this weekend. I don't feel that. I think they get out of this and they move on, and I really, honest to God, think that we see them in Oklahoma City. Like you said, they have a lot of fight, a lot of grit. They found ways to win games. Remember, before conference play started, they were undefeated. Obviously, the SEC is serious competition, so even having the record they did and playing the way that they played in the SEC tournament, you don't win the tournament, but just the showcasing of the skill and the fight and the heart that they played with put you in a pretty good position moving into the postseason. So that will kick off. She corrected us and said, nope, it's 6 p.m. on Friday.
Oh, okay.
I definitely read 5:30. I definitely read 5:30 earlier today.
It's 6 Eastern time.
There you go.
And then 5 Central.
Okay, 5 o'clock. She and Allie Newland need golden gloves as well as Raylene Gutierrez. Corinna, I feel like you would really enjoy the interview we did with Sierra Briggs. That was really cool, and she and I hit off the tee a little bit. Go back in the Valley Vision vault, and that interview is there. Also, Anthony did talk to Allie Newland on Up and In, so check that one out too. You seem like a big softball fan. We've got content for you, don't worry. Speaking of winning titles, they're on their way to win one, hopefully, but LSU track and field already did. They already did. They won the SEC championship. The women's track and field team racked up the 53rd national title for LSU. It was the outdoor title. It's the first time since 2012 that they won an SEC team title. We told y'all we haven't been covering them as much as I would like to, but you know, lots of moving parts. They started off really hot and then obviously finished off pretty hot. It's the 26th SEC title for the women's track and field program. So shout out to them. We put out some graphics whenever they did win that title. I can keep saying it. I feel like I've said it so many times. Every Monday I say the same thing. LSU is just different. Just different. Yeah. The way that we're just locking in national title after national title. Would not be surprised if softball is next. Maybe not baseball. We'll get to baseball in a second. But softball, definitely, for sure. But congratulations to the women's track and field team. Outstanding. Again, since 2012. So that's 12 years ago? Correct? Yes, 24 minus 12 is 12. Good job, Abby. Quick math. But yeah, 12 years. It's been 12 years since they brought home that title, and they just did. So congratulations to them. Yeah. Speaking of national champions, LSU Gymnastics just released an announcement that Sierra Ballard is returning. She has one more year. Thank God for COVID, right?
Yes.
She has one more year of eligibility, and she decided that she's coming back.
Yep.
And I had asked Jay Clark in a press conference, I forget what meet it was. Maybe Missouri, maybe Kentucky. I can't remember. It was a while ago. But Sierra's kind of a sleeper, right? You've got Haley Bryant and Kaya Johnson and just Aaliyah Finnegan and the names. And Sierra kind of gets a little bit overlooked sometimes, but her performances sometimes were the icing on the cake to make sure that they got a win. And I had asked him, can you talk about her place on the team and what role she plays with you guys? And he said exactly what I'm saying. She gets overlooked. She shouldn't be. She's a team player. She has come so far. Her confidence from the way that she started her career at LSU to now, she's a leader big time. And you can see it in her performances. And she may not be Haley Bryant or Kaya Johnson with the all around, but I mean, the way that she pulled through and came through when it was needed and the role that she holds as a veteran, it's really exciting that she's coming back. I know they did a little video, how the LSU creative team is phenomenal with this kind of stuff. But she said there's just something different about LSU. You can't put it into words until you come here. If I have an opportunity to continue making history with my best friends in the best place in this world, then I'm going to do that. So Sierra Ballard is back. That's very exciting for LSU gymnastics. Who else is coming back?
Haley.
Haley Bryant's coming back. Did Livy ever come out and say?
I know that it was like
she
retracted.
Was teasing.
Yeah.
She was teasing. So Livy. So first off, Haley Bryant coming back is huge. Did Kaya say? No, Kaya.
She hasn't said anything yet. But I will say that after 2025, there's no more fifth years.
I know. We're spoiled right now.
Yeah.
We're getting GOAT athletes for extra years. Y'all better hold on to your seats because that's not going to be the case in next year.
Yeah.
The COVID era is done. We're putting that away, and now it's back to 4 years. But yeah, Sierra, Haley, which is huge to have those two return. I know Livy didn't necessarily play a huge role. She did come in clutch a few times, but she didn't play a huge role in like the consistent lineup.
Yeah.
But she did win a team award, and Jay Clark spoke to how great of a teammate she is. I think she tends to get wrapped up, or people just throw her into the social media conversation and the TikTok conversation and the fame conversation and really overlook the fact that she's on a team. She's a teammate, she's a gymnast, she's a friend. I think she deserves her flowers there too. For her to win a team, I don't know what the name of the award was, but I know that it is honored to somebody who is a very good teammate, and she won that award. So she hasn't come out and said if she's coming back or not. I know Jacques Doucette interviewed her at the Mikeys, and she said, we came to a decision. So the decision is there. She just hasn't announced it yet. I don't know when it's coming.
What about Alona?
I would imagine that she's coming back just because she was injured this whole season.
Yeah. Okay.
I would imagine so.
Okay.
I could be wrong. We'll fact check. But I would imagine just because she didn't get to compete this year that she would want to come back and, go out on her own terms.
Yeah.
But we'll fact check that and keep y'all updated.
Yeah, she hasn't said anything yet.
I know. I hate that we have to just wait. Just refresh Instagram and Twitter every day.
What year is Aaliyah? I feel like she's like juniors.
I'm not going to lie to y'all. I get so backwards and confused because of the COVID year. Like, Are you redshirted? Are you a COVID senior? Are you a regular senior? Like, what?
There's too many.
I don't know. Yeah, we need to check up on that. I know she's headed to the Olympics, though.
Yeah.
She will be in the Olympics along with Taryn Cloth and Kristen Nuss. So a couple of LSU Tigers there, which is super sick. But I want to go back to Livy Dunn. We're waiting on her announcement. But meanwhile, before we're waiting on her announcement, she's still on ESPN being interviewed. Why? Not because of what she did, but because of what her boyfriend, Paul Skeens. Talk about a power couple.
Ooh.
Paul Skeens debuted in the MLB this past weekend.
Yep.
The Pirates called him up. Now, I will be honest with you. I thought we were going to see him last year. And I thought he was going to start the season on a 40-man roster. But hey, the whole freaking state of Louisiana was pumped.
We were.
Whenever we got the announcement. Like, the Pirates just put out these promos. It was so sick. And LSU Baseball's tweeting. Paul Skeens gets called up. That's like...
Livy Dunn even put it something. I think she was like, when he gets caught up.
Oh, yeah.
Play.
You know she was about to jump on the TikTok trend and let everybody know she was there. She did get interviewed while he was pitching, but he had a great debut. Now, obviously, a little bit of a command issue. Not an issue. I don't want to say issue. Maybe a little bit of a rocky start, but come on. The nerves are there. You get called up. You finally hit the major leagues, right? And Paul's got a lot of pressure on him because of what he did at LSU, what he did for LSU. So now, of course, Pirates fans are like, do it for us, because the Pirates are not great. They still lost that game against the Cubs. However, it wasn't Paul's fault. He did have 7 strikeouts, 2 walks in 4 innings, 6 hits, and 3 earned runs. But again, 7 strikeouts. I think I took him for over 6.5, and we felt like that was a lot, but he hit the 7.
Yep.
So excited to see much more of him. I think he's going to be great for that pitching staff. Of course, you're always rooting for him just because of who he was at LSU and what he did for the program. My question is, who's next? When does Dylan Cruz get called up? Soon. It's going to happen soon.
It has to.
Trey Morgan just got called up. Not called all the way up. He's in AA now, or high A. High A. Todd Peterson just got called up to AA. Speaking of Todd, we've put a lot of content out around Todd the past 2 weeks. Same story. Paul Maneri's perspective and Austin Bain. So Austin Bain was on third base when Todd Peterson was hitting in the SEC tournament. Obviously, Maneri was coaching. So we got both of those perspectives. We need to get Todd. We got to get Todd on Beyond the Box to hear his side of things.
Speaking of Beyond the Box.
Speaking.
Randy said...
I missed some chat. I'm not even looking at the chat right now. Oh, I need to catch up. Sorry, y'all.
Mount Rushmore left us hanging. The answer.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, so y'all, bear with us, right? We're a company trying to get off the ground. We need to get some better Wi-Fi equipment. But yesterday, actually, we were on Modesto's Wi-Fi, and Baton Rouge weather just decided that Beyond the Box was going to be over for the day, shut us down right as Anthony was giving his answer on his Mount Rushmore of hitters. So for those of you who are watching Beyond the Box, and we'll talk baseball right after this, also, if you don't know what Beyond the Box is, it is our LSU Baseball show I host with former 2009 National Championship pitcher Anthony Renato, former MLB player Anthony Renato. And we have guests on. We've had Maneri, we've had Cade Beloso, we've had Clay Moffitt, Ryan Verdugo. We've had a lot of cool people on the show. But he and I hosted a show yesterday, just us, because it was Mother's Day. We were at Modesto. And I had asked him, I said, who is your Mount Rushmore of LSU baseball? And he was like, well, I got to split it into pitchers and hitters. And I was like, okay. So his pitchers, oh, God. It's going to take me a second to remember. So obviously Paul Skeens was on there. Yeah. Ben McDonald was on there. Aaron Nola was on there.
And then he switched out the last one, I think.
Yeah, because he originally said Doug Thompson.
And then you were like, I thought you were going to say somebody. And he was like, oh, yeah.
Shit.
Oh, what was that?
Who did he say? Because I was like, you can't say yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I would never do that. Some people would. Some people would. Paul Skeens, Ben McDonald, Aaron Nola.
I can't think of that.
This is going to drive me insane. I'm about to text him and be like, who's your Mount Rushmore again? You know what? We're going to make a graphic.
Yes.
We're going to make a graphic and put it out there. And then his Mount Rushmore of hitters. This is when the stream crapped out. Blake Dean, Dylan Cruz. I'll have to ask him again, and we'll put a graphic out. I'm so sorry that I can't answer that question. Anyway, we'll get back to you. Yes, I see you, Corinna. LSU is that school. Ooby-doo, I have an announcement. LSU Gymnastics will be back-to-back national champions. You heard it here first. I mean, with Haley Bryant, Sierra, if you have these girls return, very possible, very possible. But okay, so I did just talk about Beyond the Box. We did a whole breakdown of this weekend on that show. I'll recap it a little bit here, but if you want to hear me and Anthony's thoughts on it fully, go check out yesterday's stream. It is on the same channel. LSU Baseball. It is, I think people at this point are just like ready for the season to be over. And I hate to say that. I really do, because I'm an LSU alum. I'm an LSU Sports fan, but I'm also a reporter. And it has been exhausting. They just can't seem to have everything fall together at once, right? You beat Texas A&M. You're like, oh, my God, we beat the #1 team. You come out of a midweek where you almost lose to Northwestern State. And then you come into a weekend against Bama where you're in a position right now, currently, you are 12th in the SEC. Let me remind you, only 12 teams go to Hoover for the SEC tournament. Right now, Missouri and Auburn are not going to Hoover. LSU is right on the cusp, and there is a chance that they do not go because you've still got one more series and we play Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss, Anthony corrected me yesterday. I said they might be heating up. He was like, actually, I think Texas A&M is fumbling, but Ole Miss catching that momentum of beating A&M and then coming in to the final series of the season against LSU. It's a well-coached team, Mike Bianco, and we're struggling. Now, Gage Jump has a great outing on Friday, right? He's the Friday guy. Luke Coleman gets moved to Saturday. We haven't seen the same Luke Coleman since he's moved to Saturday, but it is what it is. I guess we kind of talked, if you want to hear more about that and Anthony's perspective as a pitcher on why that might be, check out that episode from yesterday. But Gage Jump has a Friday night electric. However, we don't secure the win. We're up by, I think, 4 in the 9th, and then just lose it. Griffin Herring has 2 outs, and it's a walk, hit by pitch. You can't load the bases at that point. One small error, and they walk it off. That is a real momentum killer for the weekend, for the rest of the season, to be honest. That can't happen. Now, as we talked about yesterday, Griffin Herring has been wonderful as a closer, very reliable, but in a situation like that, you can't, 2 outs, you can't load the bases, especially when you're up by so much. So for Bama to walk it off on Friday was not great. Now you bounce back. Luke Coleman comes in, doesn't have the best outing, but gets by just enough to get a win. So he does get a win. And then you come into Sunday, the deciding game on who wins the series. LSU is in a position where they have to win as many games as they can. You're on the bubble of not making the SEC tournament after winning a national championship. Okay? You need all the wins you can get. Sunday's game, the fact that we don't have a Sunday starter is insane to me. Anthony believes it should be Cade Anderson. He made that very clear yesterday.
There is a Sunday starter.
Right, and his point, understandably so, is that he had one Sunday. Cade Anderson had one Sunday start, and it didn't go his way. Now, not all his fault. He didn't have his best performance, but we shifted twice. And 2 of those hits that resulted in runs basically effed his numbers, and they pulled him in the first inning.
Yeah.
Now, when you've seen Cade Anderson in midweeks, he's racking 13 strikeouts against Southeastern. He's doing incredible things. So, to Anthony's point, give him another run. At this point,
I mean, there's nothing
you don't
to
have
lose.
another Sunday guy. We've tried Sam Dutton, Nate Ackenhausen, but they're really not the guys. Not that they're not doing their job, but you're looking for somebody that can be put up there with the other 2 starters, Gage Jump and Luke Coleman. Cade Anderson looks like that guy. He just hasn't gotten the chance. You get one chance and you're pulled in the first inning. Tough. So first off, that blows my mind that we don't have a Sunday starter, but losing games at the end, and Bama's pitcher, and I forget his name, on Sunday, had a nasty curveball. Nasty. We had 12 strikeouts, couldn't get on the board until later in the game. Bama got off to a hot start, and it's hard to make those comebacks, especially with the team that is struggling to find all of the pieces and how they fit together. When you go in the hole early, it's very hard to make a comeback. We've seen them do it, but not consistently. We've also seen them blow games in the last inning Friday, but that's not the first time that's happened. So it's tough when you're facing a good pitcher on a Sunday and you don't have a rubber match. You don't have the same kind of coming from your side. So Bama's getting on the board. Your offense is on pressure, and you don't have the same gorilla ball offense that you're used to. We've seen a lot of squeeze bunting and all kinds of stuff this year, but it didn't work out in our favor. Tommy goes off in the 8th inning, puts 2 runs on the board, but it's just not enough. So moving into your final series of the regular season, you're facing Ole Miss, who is starting to catch some momentum. You really, and like I said, there is a chance that they do not make the SEC tournament, knock on wood. I'm not trying to be negative, but you guys have to have all the context. It's not a sealed deal. If Mizzou sweeps and we get swept, I believe that we are then bumped to 13 and Mizzou moves up to 12 and takes that last spot in the tournament. So Mizzou cannot sweep and we cannot get swept. I don't think that we will be swept. Now, Anthony went on Jordy Holberg's show today and said that he is going to say that LSU is going to sweep Ole Miss. Look, I'm all for being positive. Reel it back in, just a little bit.
Well, last time he was very optimistic. It went well for us.
It did go well, so maybe I should stop because we beat Texas A&M. We just can't get swept.
Yeah.
I don't think Jay Johnson allows that to happen. I think we go to the SEC tournament. Who knows? I think we tend to get caught up in, we had a national championship team last year. We were incredible, untouchable. No. The team last year struggled. There was a point where we didn't know if we were going to host. There was a point where we didn't know if we were going to make it out of regionals or super regionals, or we were going to go to Omaha. We were in the losers bracket in Omaha. So I know a lot of people are tired of this team, are tired of the season. But don't lose hope. Yeah, you still have another series. Baseball is a crazy game. It's anybody's win on any given day. You're seeing Texas A&M kind of stumble a little bit, and they've been the number 1 team. They're now 5, I think. So it fluctuates, ups and downs. And I said this on the show yesterday, this game is so mental. For a lot of reasons, but for the reason that, and again, washed up softball player, but I can speak to this. It is more individual of a game than other team sports, right? It's 1v1 essentially. You have a pitcher and you have a batter. Now you've got a defense and whatever, but like in that moment, it is 1v1 and it is a head game of who's going to win this mental matchup. When you have guys that are in slumps or in mental places where they can't figure it out, look at Paxton Kling, and I'm not putting him on the spot, but he has not been the Paxton Kling that we want to see, and it's a confidence thing. Mm-hmm. Luke Holman getting moved from Friday to Saturday, his numbers change, right? So this is a very mental game, and it translates directly into a team's record and a team's success. When I say that, my point being, it can change at any given moment. It takes a couple hits here and there, a good stat line for a pitcher, for the momentum to change, for the energy, the confidence to change, and it's anybody's game on any given day. So LSU can definitely go into this weekend. They could sweep. They could literally say, all right, our asses are on the line. I'm tired of it. Last series of the season, we're going to sweep. Yeah. It could happen. They could win the series, maybe drop a game. They could lose the series, but still win a game. I don't think we get swept, though. I don't think we get swept.
Can't.
No. I think they end up in the SEC tournament, and then from there we figure it out.
Politically, they need to be in the SEC tournament.
Yeah. I'll look at the chat before we wrapped up. What about post-game softball live shows? Look, we are, again, at the beginning stages of building Valley Vision as a brand and Culture Media as a company. We would love to get to a point where we have post-game shows for every sport. I mean, literally every sport. I cannot do that, though. A lot of our teams play at the same time. I also just can't do a show for every sport all the time, although I would love to. But yes, that is on our checklist. We are trying to get to a point where we have post-game shows for every single sport. Softball is up there. Hang tight. We may actually do some post-game shows with them for regionals this weekend. We're going to see. We're going to kind of test the waters and see what's going on this week if we can do that. What's up, Ender? Appreciate you being here. Carl's always here. We love Carl. Really enjoy the support and appreciate the support, y'all. Hakeem Batiste. This team has vastly underachieving, and unfortunately, we walk too many batters, leave too many runners on base. What is it? Hit too many batters and too many errors. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Definitely leaving people on base has been a huge problem. Yeah. It's really finishing. It's finishing innings. It's finishing games on both sides, offense and defense. Errors, it's small things, right? You saw it in the last inning of Friday's game. You get in a situation where the pitching starts to lose it, and then it's one error that loses the game. Now, Anthony corrected me again yesterday when I said, how you can't let an error like that happen. And he was like, actually, you need to go further. That's on the pitcher. Yes, the error was bad enough, but they shouldn't have been in that position where that error would score the winning run. Yeah. lots of little things that just, again, they can't seem to get it together. They don't have a midweek this week, so they have the whole week to go into this last series, hopefully screws tight, everything cleaned up and ready to go. But it's been a season for them. And don't think for a second that these kids don't care. I do want to say that. I know that we are brutally honest here, and that's because transparency is awesome, right? Yeah. We want to give you all the context. We have opinions. We love these teams. We support these teams, but you have to be honest about where they're at. But that's not to say that we are shitting on these guys. And excuse me, but they're kids, one. With NIL and the way that media is going, there's so much pressure on them. And don't think for a second that they don't want to win more than everyone else. I know the fan base wants to win, but these boys want to win. They see the tweets. They see the analysts talking. They see all of the social media. They hear it. They have to go to class with their peers. So they're getting the backlash of it. So trust me when I tell you they want to win. They want to do well. They just have to figure out how to get the pieces together. And unfortunately, you're running out of time. You've got one more, what's the word?
Chance?
One more weekend that isn't in question. What's the word? Guaranteed.
Okay. One
more guaranteed weekend of baseball. Probably two, but one more guaranteed. They're trying. There's some little things that have to be cleaned up, and that goes up to the top. I asked Anthony, what the pitching. We've got some killer names on here. Now, granted, you've had some injuries. Chase Shores hasn't pitched because of the Tommy John. Fidel Ulloa, who's come in recently and been pretty clutch, had an undisclosed injury that Jay Johnson just wasn't going to tell anybody. We don't know what's going on there. But we also have a new pitching coach, and that translates directly to your pitchers. There's a lot of moving parts. They're trying to piece it together. Excuse me. But yes, you are correct. Carl, Friday was the worst ending of the season. It was for sure. It was, I think, one of those moments where you were like, and you didn't speak for like 2 minutes, and you were like, did that actually just happen, or am I
No, that's exactly, that was my thought watching that. I was like,
am I tripping, or like that for real just happened? No, it for real just happened. And then you just kind of shake it off. Corinna, do we think that softball has a chance this weekend? Yeah.
100%.
Like I said earlier in the show, sometimes you get put into a gauntlet. When I say a gauntlet, I mean just the way of the draw. You get put into a regional where the teams are really freaking good. And I'm not saying that the teams coming to the regional aren't, but I think LSU is set up to be successful this weekend. They absolutely have all the tools. It's not going to be an uphill battle. As long as they come in, execute, play the game that they've been playing the whole season, I think they come out of this. Oh, we're going back to baseball. So we're back and forth between baseball and softball. Hakeem, my guy Tommy missed the bag. Just a microcosm of the year. These guys are good. I think next year's approach needs to be much different, starting with Coach Johnson. I believe in him. Yes. You got to give Jay a break. Yeah. His job, and Paul Maneri on last week's Beyond the Box weighed in on this. And he said, my job the whole time I was coaching at LSU, now Jay Johnson's job, relies on 18 to 22-year-olds. Your job is relying on 18 to 22-year-old boys. No offense, but boys. So you do have to give him a break. He came in and he is one of the best college coaches in the game. 2, the roster he had last year, y'all, you cannot, I know we give the individual flowers and we look at Paul Skeens, Dylan Cruz, Trey Morgan. You had a killer roster, and that made Jay Johnson's job a little bit easier. You come into this year, you've got pretty much a whole new team. Now, your recruits and everybody, you got transfers, Luke Holman, you've got some guys that they put up killer numbers last year, high prospects of the recruits and stuff, but you have to piece that together. And that is difficult to do, especially after a national championship, because you have the added pressure of trying to be successful with the target on your back, and trying to live up to the expectations of bringing in the guys that you did. And it's a tough job. And I guess I have to just keep hammering home that it's not the talent on the team. The roster is incredibly talented and skilled. It's putting it together and finding the chemistry and figuring out how not to miss the little things or to do the little things right. And they just haven't been able to do that quite yet. I was asked on, I think I said this before, but I was asked on a podcast that Anthony and I went on about whether we thought this year's team was overrated. And my response was, I don't think we're overrated, because if you look at the numbers, you look at the names, definitely rated where you're supposed to be. I just don't think they've delivered on the product that they could be, if that makes sense. They're right there. It's just a fine-tuning things, and you're running out of time. Switching back to softball, Carl Dunn. LSU doesn't have a hard softball regional. No, they don't. Where do we think they go for super regionals? I am big on let's not get ahead of the weekend, because I think I've seen too many heartbreaker stories of when you look too far ahead, you miss the little things and you miss the easy games, and that's where they get you. So I'm not going to look at super regionals right now. I'm going to look at this weekend. But like Carl said, I don't think it's not a hard regional, quote unquote. Todd Peterson got moved up to AA. Trey moved up to high A. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you were here a little while ago when I said that. But yes, Tigers moving all over the place, waiting on that Dylan Cruz call up. It's coming. Sure enough, I'm sure.
It has to.
It's got to. They said, look, the Nationals said, shit, they called up Paul Skeens, get Dylan ready. He's got to come up too. We need the attention over here now. But yeah, excited to see that happen. I grew up with Trey. Trey is one of my little brother's good friends. Trey has done me a few favors with interviews the past couple years, but I literally watched that kid grow up. So I would really like to see him keep moving up and eventually make it up. And then Todd Peterson, of course. We love Todd Peterson. Yeah. He gives us good content. So keep moving up, Todd. That's about all we've got today to give y'all an update on the week. I told y'all last week that Grace Kelly was in the studio. She made some fun content reading social media tweets and memes, posts, and all kinds of stuff about Brian Kelly, and that will release Friday morning. So be on the lookout for that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We've got a lot of content. I know baseball season, softball season are wrapping up, but we might be doing watch parties around Baton Rouge, maybe at Uncle Earl's, maybe one in New Orleans. Lots of cool stuff coming up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated. And for those of you who want even more culture media content, Anthony Renato does have his own show called The Up and In Show. He started about 4 or 5 years ago. He interviews coaches, athletes, entrepreneurs, influencers, artists. It's really cool stuff. He just released who was last week? Cam Carter. Who just transferred in for LSU men's basketball. He was in the studio last week. That episode dropped on Friday. The previous week was Izzy Bezelman from women's basketball. And then this week, he'll have Princeton Malbrew from LSU football in the studio and that'll release actually next week.
Yeah.
So make sure you're subscribing to all of our content. We are doing some really fun stuff. And just because sports are dying down during the summer doesn't mean that we're not going to stop making really cool content. So hit the sub button, like, share, comment. All of that goes a really long way. Before we get out of here, I do have to shout out our sponsors. First, Fresh Chef Kitchen has saved my life. Their meal prepping is incredible. A lot of the LSU athletes rely on them to stay fueled and healthy. If you're not somebody who likes to cook, you don't have time to cook, you don't want to spend money going out to eat all the time, or you just don't want to eat unhealthy, this is the move for you. Fresh Chef Kitchen will have your meals ready to go for the whole week. You'll be covered. And if you use code ABBY10, you'll get 10% off of your order. So check them out. St. Rock, of course, the St. Rock Bayou Traditions vodka is the official vodka of Bayou Traditions, the official NIL collective of LSU athletes. So each purchase, and I'm looking for a bottle. We don't have a bottle here, probably because if they were drank at the grand reopening. We'll get more bottles. It's really smooth vodka, and proceeds from each bottle go directly back to the LSU athletes, so it's a win-win for everybody. And then, of course, A Game here, our hydration drink partner, started by Johnny Damon, former MLB player. Also on the board is Bo Jackson. It's a natural drink. It's good for you. They taste good, not too much sugar, I want to say flavored water, kind of, but a little bit more flavor. Great way to stay hydrated. I rely on these things throughout the day because we are always going, especially with the physical activity we do on a daily basis between the gym and the interviews and moving equipment. So they are great. I also have a code for them in my bio on Instagram. Check them out. Stay hydrated. It's important, especially in this Louisiana heat during the summer. That was a lot. That was a mouthful. We're going to wrap it up because it's Monday. We have a long week ahead. We will be back. I don't know when we'll be back yet. We don't have a midweek, so we will not be at Don Juan's on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. But we may be doing some content for this baseball series Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Of course, we'll be at Modesto on Saturday, maybe doing some softball post-game stuff. So, again, subscribe, follow us on Instagram to stay updated with where we're going to be and what content we're putting out there. We appreciate y'all, and we will see y'all soon.